Today I'm going to review the bike lane from Highton Village up to Belmont along Roslyn Road. Highton Village and Belmont are suburbs in Geelong, south of the Barwon River. They're about 4 kilometres from the centre of Geelong. So we're going to start down here in Highton Village, coming out of the main shopping area and turning left up the hill all the way along this section of Roslyn Road up to Belmont High Street, which is another shopping strip. Then we're going to turn around and work our way back along the same road on the bike lane on the opposite side of the road back down to Highton Village. So we're going to head through here along Highton Village, and then once we get to the end of this little shopping strip we're going to turn left onto Roslyn Road. There's no cycling infrastructure here in Highton Village itself, but as you start exiting towards the south there is a little marking on the road. It's not technically a bike lane because it doesn't have a bike lane sign on it, it's just some markings on the road. We turn left, and the first thing we notice when we turn left is the bike lane sign there on the left hand side. Not much of a bike lane though, because you can't use it. There's a car and truck parked in it. This truck's nearly always parked in it. I ride this section of road quite regularly, and this truck is nearly always there. So you've got to go out and around it. It's quite a steep hill here, so you're going very, very slow compared to the traffic. There's also a big spill of concrete on the road there, which makes it really difficult to ride just outside the bike lane, and it's best to usually take up the centre of the lane when you've got to go around a vehicle like that. We travel up the hill. It's 40 km/h sign during school hours, but most of the time it's just 60 km/h. There's another bike lane, and lo and behold, another car parked in it immediately after the sign. So I've got to get out of the bike lane, into the danger zone, and just get close passed by a bus. Thanks, McHarry's. Close past me, and then in a must get in front move all in one go. So stopped right in front of me. I've got nowhere to go. I've got to stop, and I got cut off quite severely there. So professional driver, not really considering the safety of a cyclist on the road. So we'll head off again in the bike lane now the bus has moved on. Not too worried about the delay, but more the safety issue. More bike lane signs as we continue on. Now I'm going to continue to ride in this bike lane. When you get to features like this car, I wouldn't advise anyone to stay in the bike lane going around these cars because you ride in the car door zone. But I'm just going to ride in there just to demonstrate how close it is. And there's a bike lane end sign as we get into the intersection. It's probably where you most need the bike lanes is at intersections, because that's where most accidents do happen. So we just wait here for the lights to change, then we're off again heading east on Roslyn Road. The bike lane starts again there with a sign, so there's just a little gap in the middle there through the intersection, but again straight after the sign we have a car parked in the bike lane, so I have to come outside the bike lane to get around that. Often cars expect you to be in the bike lane, so they're not going to give you space, and get quite upset if you're not in the bike lane, because they just generally have no understanding of how bad the bike lane actually is to ride in. Another marking on the street, another bike lane sign, and again straight after it there's a car parked in it. Fortunately the bike lane is just a little bit wider in this section, so you can kind of get past the car just right on the edge of the car door zone without having to go out into the traffic lane. Another marking on the road, still just indicating the bike lane, and another bike lane sign, and again a car parked in the bike lane immediately after it. Just like before, it's still just wide enough to get past the cars, but it gets a bit narrower through here as we get a bit further on. More markings on the road. They're pretty faded though, haven't had a refresh in quite some time. It probably hasn't been looked at for quite some time. Another sign, and we race on up here to the end, towards the end of Roslyn Road where it meets Belmont High Street. And there is signs after every intersection and marking after every intersection. This bit here is quite nice, no cars in it. Look at that, another bike lane sign with a car parked in it immediately after it. We get up here to the main intersection here near the Belmont post office. This is quite a big intersection. There's a road coming in from the left, and then immediately after there's a 5-way intersection and it's quite busy and quite a lot of traffic. The traffic sequence takes a really long time to get through along here. So I think I sat here for nearly 2 minutes, and same for the cars, I guess, but it's quite frustrating and takes quite a lot of time when you are wanting to get through and over to your destination. Probably a bit of a barrier for cycling as well, because delays have been proven to discourage cycling. So we're getting over here. I want to go diagonally to the right. It's really quite difficult to get in over there. You've got to merge in amongst the cars. Cars going right there and going straight across the intersection. Yeah, don't really like going through here, but there's no other way to get through without getting off. And we finished just over here with a close pass from the car. So on the return trip now, this is just before the Belmont post office again, and the bike lane just ends there, and it pushes us up here onto this path here. It's full of, got bins in it. It's got a bit of green paint, which indicates that it's bike infrastructure, I guess. And then we're hit by a cyclist dismount sign, and we've got to jump off and walk through here. So I could have, I guess, stayed into the traffic, but they pointed me over that way, so I jumped off and walked. We're sitting here now just waiting to cross the lights. Again, these lights take a long time to cross, so we're going to sit here and for a while speed this up, and then we're going to get across. Doesn't really indicate to me where I need to get back on the road though, so I'm just going to walk up here until it feels kind of, I guess, reasonable to get back on the road. Back on the road, and bike lane sign there on the left, so we're in the right place again. But this bike lane's actually got marked car parks in it. So again, I can barely get through there without my handlebars touching the car and handlebars reaching the edge of the lane there. So the cars expect you to be in there. They think you're in your lane. They can go as close to you as they want. I would suggest that those cars aren't passing me at 1 metre. This is interesting here. We've got a big Ram truck there. It's so much wider than the other truck, taking up a big chunk of the lane there, as opposed to this Triton, which is quite a lot narrower, leaving a lot more space. Continuing on, more bike lane signs, more marks on the road telling us that we should be. Another bike lane sign, more parked cars straight after the bike lane sign again, as we saw on the other side heading east. This is an interesting spot here. Here I am, plenty of bike lane. Oh, look at that. So those car, didn't even consider that I was in the bike lane and it should give way to me. So in Victoria, cars can travel in the bike lane for up to 50 metres when overtaking a car turning right. However, they must give way to any cyclists that are using the lane before they move into it. There's a maximum of 50 metres they can travel in. Continuing up here, past all these parked cars again. That car cannot even get into the parking spot without sitting on top of the bike lane symbol on the road, which is, I think, is quite ironic. A little bit of a pinch point here for the pedestrians, so often we find cars trying to overtake you in there, and again it's pretty tight through there. On the left here we have Roslyn Primary School, and this, I guess, the spot where you need the bike lane, it ends. So bike lane right there, the entrance to Roslyn Primary School, and there is no bike lane. So there's also Belmont High School just over the back there, and this would be a fairly main access point for students getting to Belmont High School. So it'd be pretty useful to have some good infrastructure there to encourage kids to ride to school. Heading back down the hill now, we're going to gain a bit of speed because this is a fairly steep downhill, and it is marked again there with more bike symbols. But as we get down closer here, I'm going to have to pull out and around these cars. We're probably doing 35 k's an hour here heading down this hill because it is quite steep, and you often get squeezed. Even if you're doing 40 or 45, cars wanting to do 60, they'll just squeeze you into that parked car in front of you. A little bit wider here as we approach the roundabout towards the end of our journey. So I'm going to turn right here. We're back into into Highton village, and again back to the shops. A little bit of marking on the road. So that bike route, oh jeez, if you're not comfortable riding on the road, it's not really much of a bike route at all. It's probably put in quite some time ago, and needs some kind of update to make it into cycling infrastructure that people would like and be willing to use.